All right, we are back out at our Indescript test flying location. We have a newcomer both to iVue Robotics as an intern as well as to flying Develop Air. You have really not flown many if any drones, right? Never flown a DJI. You flew like a toy, like sort of smaller drone. So even our Develop Air Mini is going to be a pretty sizable step up for you. Is that right? So hopefully the rotation issue, if you watched our video yesterday, is fixed on this Develop Air Mini. I did actually set the right parameter where I wasn't sure out in the field yesterday. However, I did not reboot the drone before the parameter took effect. So now that it's been rebooted, we should have a nice stable flight with this Develop Air Mini. If that's not the case, we'll bring it back down, hopefully in one piece, and then move on to these Develop Air models. May not even fly the base model if the Develop Air Mini works out well for Tharun to fly, but regardless, what's in the box? If you've watched the movie Seven, you'll find out. We have a little trial cargo payload loaded in this Develop Air XE. But we have World's iVue loaded up in front of us, and actually we are using a dev version. I just got notified from Mohit, our lead developer. There's been a new version push that should allow us to upload Waypoint missions again, where we were previously, but in version 1.5.2 that we were using yesterday, that was not the case. So we're gonna go back to app, again using the preview version of World's iVue, opening up the iVue RoboControl app down there in the dock. And then we have a couple different radio options. We're gonna use the same radio that we were using over the last couple of days. This is the TX radio that typically goes in a transmitter, like a more traditional RC car, RC boat sort of controller. But just using it via USB allows us to use no controller or any sort of game controller. So the Legion Go obviously has the game controls built in. Again, if you're not really familiar with that form factor, here you go. And of course, you'll be seeing the screen recording the whole time as well. I'm just gonna make World's iVue full screen so we don't have to deal with the web browser UI. And again, you'll be familiar with this if you've watched our videos before, but for like Tharun, the lights are flashing red, means there's no connection established to a drone. But once we go place Develop Air Mini out in the field, power it on, we should see that light turn green. It'll still be flashing. We have a couple of sets of props with some spare props for the larger Develop Air model, but just the standard white props for the Develop Air Mini. As we covered yesterday, there's a specific orientation or specific direction that these props go in as well as spin on. You can see which way they lock on and lock off, or spin on and off with the little graphics on the props. But then we already have the motor caps off of this Develop Air Mini that it comes with that either have silver tops or black tops. And it's actually black tops with these divoted motors and silver tops with these flat tops. So you'll just get used to it over time. Especially it's easier to show with these props or even these standard base model props. You see how that's more of like a flat side versus that side is curved. The flat side should always be turning inward. So turning to the front center of Develop Air or the back center. So if you know like this is turning towards the front or rear center, then you have the props on or the motors on wrong. So let's go ahead and actually set it up, and let's see if this Develop Air Mini is going to fly in the way it should. I'm setting it a little bit further away than we did yesterday, just if we do see the problem where it will take off and then just continuously rotate. When we tell it to land, instead of just like kind of rotating in place, it'll kind of like spiral around as well. So it'll orbit as well. And so if it's on a hilled or, a surface with a gradient, it's going to be more bound to, tipping over on landing. And it's already pretty bound to, it's already pretty bound to tipping over on landing, even on a flat surface, if it's, continuously rotating and orbiting as it's coming down. Lights have all come on. We are just instructed by our camera operator to move it a bit further back. We'll listen to him for a change. And Tharun, you're gonna get down here with me and help me install these props. So you'll do the black props, which are here and here. Yeah, so you put it on and then spin it in the direction with the lock icon. Yep. So you're spinning it this way, yet that's saying that it's unlocking it.
So it's like a screw.
Yep. The inside of these props are threaded, so. And then once you feel it kind of tight, don't want to over tighten it, but yeah, that should be good to go. GPS has had more than enough time to initialize, given at least in the current iterations of our DevelopAir models, the DevelopAir Mini has the best GPS as far as standard units go without any upgrades or modifications. So let's see, do we have a green flashing light? We have a green flashing light. And so you can verify that as well. So I already opened up the iVue RoboControl app, which is that icon down in the dock. It might be hard to see, but it's also iVue RC, kind of like remote control, but RoboControl for short. We select add drone, connect to drone. And this is maybe not the most intuitive, but we have STM32 virtual COM port. And then now we're getting the satellite information as well as battery information for this DevelopAir Mini. We zoom into the location on the map, and since again we're on a hotspot, this map is loading. If we were not connected to the internet, if we already had this pulled up prior to coming out to the field, we'd still be able to see like the DevelopAir icon and like the home computer icon. Yeah, if you're not connected to the internet, you're not going to have those assets loaded. So I think we should be good to go. To take off DevelopAir Mini, we just need to select fly drone, arm and fly, and then we're going to tell it just to take off to the initial altitude of 10 feet. So I should just be able to select launch drone. Drone has been successfully launched, and it is still continuously rotating. So that is not what we want. So you probably won't fly this one unless we can troubleshoot it out here at the field. So I'm going to hit land, and then you'll see now it's also orbiting and not just rotating. And this is where it's very prone to tipping over on landing, as I'm sure you could probably tell. And now disarmed, the error while sending the disarm command, error while sending disarm command. Let's see. So I'm just, I could manually try to unplug it, but let's see if I can, through QGroundControl, disarm it. So it still thinks it's flying. So in QGroundControl, it should automatically pull up the connection.
Land flight mode.
Yeah, and then, yeah, it's still detecting that it's flying, which is definitely not the case. And I'm waiting for the parameters to finish connecting or finish loading. And now I can select flying up here in QGroundControl. Should be able to. And hit disarm. And now the motor stopped. So that's not ideal for the motor. That's not ideal for the motors to continue spinning for that long. There's an error with the disarm button working in the iVue RC app. So Mohit, that's something to look into. It worked yesterday. Again, that was the production version of the World's iVue app, or the iVue RC app in World's iVue. So it looks like we're still all in one piece. Look how resilient DevelopAir is. DevelopAir Mini. Top cover stayed on. literally just a dirty prop. But that's it. So we're gonna try now connecting to the telemetry radio inside and see if we can verify the parameters are set up as they should. Might even try to get Mann on the phone while we're out here and see if he knows any other parameters that could be causing this issue. So I am now going to close out of QGroundControl using our third ground control program for the day, going over to Mission Planner. So you might have seen me mention this to Yuhu, or what? Yuha was his name, and Scott that were just with us in the workshop a little while ago. This is the most capable software that exists for drone operation right now, but it's also the least intuitive. So you got to be like a nerdy developer, and we don't have any of those. I'm not one of those. Not a developer, just nerdy. Tharun, you're just gonna leave all the talking to me? You're not gonna be like our personality taking over these videos and
I don't know what
taking me out of a job? Doesn't stop me from saying anything. I just keep running my mouth. All right, so I have Mission Planner opened. We're selecting the COM port from the drop down here. Again, the STM17 or COM17 STM32. And we're going to connect to it with, I refer to this as the baud rate of 115,200, but talking to the guy that invented the PC modem that knows baud rates probably better than anyone else, he says that value is not actually a baud rate. But that's what all the RGU copter and Mission Planner developers refer to it as. So then you can see here this quad rotor drop down. We also have a telemetry radio option. So right now we're interfacing with the drone and the radio inside that drone, right?
Yeah.
But we actually want to interface with this telemetry radio here. And then actually, if we send a parameter here, it could also set a parameter on the radio it's connected to as well. So yeah, basically this quad rotor option is setting parameters for the drone, which can also mean the radio inside the drone. But some parameters are limited to this option, selecting the telemetry radio, and then still the RX radio in the drone. So if you go to the config screen, full parameter list, I'm going to refresh parameters, okay. And then it's RX send. Okay, and yeah, look, that value should be at 0. So I thought I had already set that, but clearly I did not. So we're going to set that to 0. Then we're going to write parameters. If you're setting parameters in QGroundControl, if you've watched our videos, already familiar with it, but the moment you set the parameter, it will just take effect in QGroundControl. In Mission Planner, you actually have to write the parameters. So let me see if I refresh parameters. Okay, that should still remain a 0, and it does. Now we do need a reboot develop error mini. I'm going to disconnect here, and while you can use Mission Planner to reboot using this planner screen and then go into the testing screen, or if you have a keyboard, you can shortcut this with Control F. And that screen, I don't know what happened to it. Let's see. It went away, but let's see if I pull it up again, if it'll stay up. Nope, doesn't look like it. Typically, there's like 2 columns of buttons, and then next to each button, there's a description of what that button does. Mission Planner, it looks like it just crashed, which is actually pretty out of the ordinary for Mission Planner. QGroundControl will oftentimes crash. But let's see if we can just open back up Mission Planner. And I'm going to reboot that Developer Mini, just unplugging the battery and plugging it back in. Well, again, you can do that via software. This is just a surefire way to make sure that no systems, including the radio, are still receiving power from the battery when you're rebooting the Pixhawk. Just give it a 3-second count and plug it back in. No real rhyme or reason to that 3-second count, but couldn't hurt, right? And we're gonna do something I wouldn't normally do. Typically I would just send it now because we clearly updated the parameter, right? But yeah. We're actually going to verify that the parameter did take effect, so. Double checking our work. Wow, we are nerds. You see me holding myself back, not dropping that F-bomb? That's progress. Still have to call it out, which not so great progress. And refresh parameters. Okay. And the RX parameters, specifically RX send. And that parameter is not saving. Let me give Mann a call. He's our developer that sets up these mLRS radios. So we can keep this part of the call or part of the video as long as he answers. What? I got a couple missed calls. Nobody wants to talk to me. All right. Mann. Let's see if he's too. Hey, so I am out here with a Developer Mini, and I tried to set the RX send RC channel parameter to 0, but it's not saving. Do you have any ideas how to make it save?
If it's not saving on Mission Planner, you might have to use a controller to save it.
Damn, okay. Don't have a controller out here with me.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right. I mean, darn. Gosh darn it all. And Mann, by the way, you're definitely not being included in this video, FYI. And by definitely not, you definitely are.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying one more time. Parameters successfully saved. And let's try disconnecting. And then I'm going to try reconnecting. Yeah, because I said it yesterday. I wasn't 100% sure it was the correct parameter. Went to take off and the Developer Mini was continuously rotating. I was like, oh, maybe I set the wrong parameter. But then I was thinking maybe it's just because I didn't reboot beforehand. And so neither of those seem to be the case, that it's just actually not saving the parameter. So refresh parameters. Okay. RX send. All right, and it's saved there. Okay. So, Mann, if you don't mind, just we'll do a quick test flight while you're on the call with us. And it, literally be less than a couple minutes. So we are connected, have satellites, have battery voltage. Brian, we should be good to go. I did not reboot, so I guess there's still a potential for a problem, but let's do arm and fly. Initial takeoff of 10 feet. Let's launch. still rotating. So yeah, need to do the reboot, and I would bet the reboot's probably gonna reset the parameter like it did last time. All right, so here we have another landing that's not gonna be so pretty. Let me go ahead and I'm going to disconnect. All right, and let me go ahead and quickly try to open up QGroundControl. Oh, the motors disarmed themselves, so we're good to go. All right, nice. What were you saying, Mann?
Nothing.
Okay. That's what I thought. No. So yeah, it continuously rotated and then orbited as the larger developer was doing with the same problem. But yeah, it sounds like we'll just need to take the TX module and put it in a transmitter controller and do the parameter update through that controller. Is that correct, Mann?
Yes.
Okay.
That is correct.
So you will see this developer mini fly as it's supposed to. Probably not tomorrow because not a lot of people want to work with me, well, period, but definitely not on Christmas Day. And so it'll probably be day after Christmas before you see this developer, and probably the day after that as far as getting the video up. But Tharun, at least you see that we do make drones that fly. Of course, not completely bug-free, but we should be, knock on wood, bug-free with these two larger developer models. But Mann, I think that's all I had to run by you now. Thank you for making yourself available. Merry Christmas to you, and we'll catch up, if not sometime tomorrow on Christmas, you know, probably in the day or two following.
All right. You as well. Happy holidays.
Appreciate it. See you. All right. Dun, da, da, dun, da, dun, dun, da, da. Just getting my phone out of the way so it's not providing any interference that we probably won't actually run into. But let's go ahead and get you some flight time with this Develop Air, and then we'll end up the session with trying out the updates to the iVue RC app that Mohit pushed earlier today to see if we can upload a Waypoint mission and then fly this Develop Air XE via Waypoint mission to basically simulate what a delivery would look like. If you had your own Develop Air or similarly sized drone, you could go set it out in your front yard, send it to your neighbor's house, the local Amazon locker, fast food restaurant, retail store, and you know, send them whatever items that you could fit in a cargo container about that size. 3.5 inches, plenty big. Some may say too big. No. So we have, I think the battery, no, not in there. Where did I put the larger Develop Air battery? In my bag of fun things of I don't even know what. It's actually a box of fun things. That's a Pumped Up Kicks song reference if you ever heard that song.
I have.
I make too many song references, some may say. I say not enough. All right, and then we need 2 of the silver tip props, 1 red, 1 black, and then, well, I guess these are the only correct black props. And then, well, thanks, Tharun. I was like, how's this Develop Air sticking to me? What is it caught on? The magnet. Man, Tharun, you also didn't get the memo clearly. You know, it's supposed to be dressing up in Christmas colors today, dude.
Oh,
Don't you have any Christmas spirit?
I didn't know.
All right. So which props go where, do you think?
These and this one go on opposite sides, and this one go on opposite sides.
All right, which opposite sides?
Unlike, oh, there's not the.
So tell me which 2 motors the silver tip ones go on and which 2 the black tip props go on.
This one here, and that one there.
50-50 and got it the other way. So yeah, silver tip props. Just if you remember the front right is silver tip, then that tells you every other prop.
Wouldn't
right?
it be front right wherever you place it, based on how you place it though?
No, so there's a correct setup and orientation. And so like the GPS for a developer is always at the front. And then if you look at the components on the inside, there's an arrow that's pointing on the front on the flight controller. Now, theoretically, you can rotate the flight controller, and then in the software, like in the configuration, say my flight controller is offset at 90 degrees or negative 90 degrees. So if you needed to mount it in another orientation, you could. So. And now with the standard developer models, we also are able to find props and have props that match the motor mount color. So the red props go with the red motor mounts on the front, and then the black props go with the black motor mounts on the rear as well.
All right.
And here, I'll let you do that one. I'll finish doing that one if you'd like, and then, actually, nope. Yeah, we each do one black and one silver. I know how this works. That one may be a little tough. Some of the threading on either the props or the motor caps are not ideal, so that's why I like the developer XE and HP models where they have folding props that they just stay on there. But as far as a development platform, especially an educational development platform, it's a little bit more convenient actually to have these props that spin on as far as being able to do testing and configuration without having to worry about arming the drone and kicking on the motors with props on accidentally. So we have an upgraded GPS unit on this developer. It doesn't come standard with it, is what I'm getting at. So we're actually going to have a connection to like 30 satellites instead of 20 like we did on the Mini, versus the standard developer models, and including like the XE will come with a GPS unit that will maybe get like 12, 13 satellites. But we're already connected in QGroundControl. Now we're connecting via the iVue RC app. Yeah, we have connection to 19 satellites already within just a few moments of booting on the developer. And now we can go ahead, just as we did for the developer Mini, arm and fly drone, take off to 10 feet. I'm going to close out the terminal window and open up a new one. It doesn't clear all the messages. There we go. And now if we hit, all right. And that's how our developers are supposed to fly, rotation free. And so now we're in this guided flight mode. So I think I could rotate developer with the joystick in guided flight mode, but if you see, I cannot fly it towards Brian because it's basically waiting for an automated mission. And the moment there's an automated mission uploaded to it, it would just follow that mission and you wouldn't be able to override it other than just the rotation of the aircraft. And you might be able to adjust, no, you can't adjust altitude in guided mode. I think in auto flight mode, you can adjust altitude, or you might even be able to adjust the parameters. But so now it's facing Brian, right? So the antenna is the back, and then you can also tell like the red motor mounts are on the front, right? In the dark or in the night, you can also tell based off of the lighting as well. But now, just like a video game, you can use both of these controls to fly developer. This is going to be up, down, left, and right. As rotate left, rotate right. And then this is all what's called translational movement: forward, back, left, right. And it's relative to the drone. So if it's facing that way towards like the Dunkin' Donuts, and you push forward, so it's going to go that way.
Is pointed to?
Right. And so if you rotate it and it's facing us, you push forward, it's not going to go that way. It's going to come towards us. Now, if you go to land it manually, of course, you could land it automatically just hitting the land button on the screen. But if you want to land it manually, don't bring the stick all the way down. Just gently bring it down, right? And then once it's on the ground, then you bring the stick all the way down, right? But yeah, feel free to have at it. Take it nice and easy. In our software, the latency is pretty bad. If you wanted it lower latency, we could swap over to the open source software, QGroundControl, but that's a bug that we are working on fixing. So
where do I fly it? Just anywhere?
yeah, just within this field. Don't get too crazy with it. So again, there's a little bit of lag, you know, that makes it not ideal, but it's not really a problem with the drone. It's just how frequently our software is sending and receiving commands to and from the drone, which we can update and will be updating. You are probably the smoothest flyer, first-time flyer we've ever had. A lot of people just want to take it and like do a lot of really jerky movements and give me a heart attack unnecessarily. Not really, but I like to say that flying drones are pretty much like riding motorcycles. It's not if you crash, it's when you crash. And as bad as it is to, you know, crash a drone, at least there's no person on board, and we make develop air fairly easy to rebuild, and typically, if not same day, able to do a rebuild next day and get it back up in the air. So let's go ahead, and if you don't mind, we'll go ahead and bring it down. I am, while we're in the air though, going to see if we can actually create and upload a Waypoint mission to it in the air. So let's see, going to the missions tab, add a mission, selecting drone 1 to add to the mission 2. And then I am going to set the altitude for this waypoint to 40 feet. And let's go ahead and see if I can upload mission to drone. Mission upload completed. All right, so that's new for us as far as it not working in the last update. So that seems to work in Mohit's bug fix. Now let's see if we start Waypoint mission. All right, look at that. We're able to start a Waypoint mission mid-flight, and it climbs up to the altitude and then heads out off. Now, it did actually continue to climb altitude on the way there, so maybe I spoke too soon that it didn't actually climb up to the altitude of 40 feet before then heading over to the waypoint that's set for 40 feet. But waypoint missions are working in our development version, which means that we'll load push those updates to our production version of World's iVue and the iVue RC app. But now we're in auto mode. Yeah, we have we have rotational ability, no altitude control. But now if I put it into loiter flight mode, now I have control over it with the Legion Go, with like the actual controls. Now, if I want, I could also just hit return to RTL, and you see how it's climbing up. That's because we set the altitude to return to launch to 150 feet by default. So if there's any like trees on the way from where it is and the home location, it will ideally fly over those trees and, you know, not crash. So we're in land flight mode. It's gonna take a while. If I continue to let it land on its own accord like that, I'm gonna bring it a little bit closer to us just to minimize the walking distance to go recover it, because, you know, walking is for peasants, right?
I guess.
Are you always this high energy, Tharun?
No.
No. You got the riz like nobody else. Well, great work, Mohit. That's actually functionality that we've never been able to test. We've been able to start Waypoint missions from the ground before using the iVue RC app, but as you just saw in mid-flight, we were able to upload a Waypoint mission to Develop Air and start it, which is pretty great to see. We are very quickly developing the best way to fly, of course, Develop Air, but really any Arducopter drone. Now, we're only really supporting Develop Air using the iVue RC app. If it works for you, great, you're on your own to support yourself. But yeah, Develop Air, even being a development platform, is about as good as it gets for doing any sort of non-photo video based drone flight. And of course, we're looking to improve our capabilities there as well. But let's go ahead and do a cargo delivery mission, and then we'll wrap it up here and call it a day. So in the way that we have Waypoint missions currently built out or supported in the iVue RC app, I don't think it's really going to be ideal for doing a delivery mission simulation, where I should be able to set a land point at any spot in this field. But what I think I'll have to do is set the waypoint above the land location and then just manually hit the land button where and when I want it to land. So it's not going to be quite as automated or hands-free as what would be ideal for, you know, the everyday person that wants to adopt and use a drone outside or for their day-to-day life, you know, outside their home or business. But we are getting there, ladies and gentlemen. We are getting there. But what's in the box? For all of our 7 fans out there, Kevin Spacey will hopefully make a comeback. Kevin Spacey did no wrong. Kidding. You know who Kevin Spacey is?
I know the movie.
He was famous for quite a few TV shows and movies, more so, but probably most recently his big work was a TV show on Netflix called House of Cards, where he played the president of the United States, and he got canceled for like the Me Too movement, if you're familiar with that.
Oh.
Yeah, I think he was like, he's gay, and he was like raping boys or something like that. Not a real cool guy.
Yeah.
And that's allegedly. You know, Kevin Spacey would do no wrong. One of the greatest acting talents of our generation. While you don't technically need to fold out the props like this, they'll fold themselves out on takeoff. It's really just a good habit, just to make the takeoff a little bit smoother, more stable.
Okay.
Just frolicking through the field, skipping through the field. I'm not gay, you're gay. All right, so we are connected. I don't believe that we have access to 27 satellites. I'm going to disconnect and reconnect, and yeah, we have connection to 9 satellites. So I should have disconnected from the iVue RC app sooner. I guess, Mohit, that's another bug that should be fixed. If you go from flying one Develop Air to another, looks like the satellite information is not updated properly. Still would fly, it's just not going to be representative of the information it should be receiving. So let's go ahead into the missions tab. We're going to, actually could just do that same mission, but let's see, that's closer to the bank. Yeah, let's, you know, fly close to the bank. So I think what I'll need to do for this mission is set the first waypoint like right where Develop Air is, because ideally you should be able to set the takeoff altitude, Develop Air takes off to that takeoff altitude, and then it will climb up to the next altitude for the waypoint before heading over to it. But otherwise, it will just like take off, and then it'll climb on the way to that waypoint, which could be problematic if there's like obstacles or trees, buildings, people in the way. So it should climb up just about straight up to 40 feet with how I'm setting up this waypoint mission. And then now I'm selecting another point on the map. Oh, I need to hit the plus button. I knew that. I know how to create waypoints and our waypoint missions in our own software. And then we're going to just keep it at 40 feet. That should be clear of everything in this field. And then, you know what, just to... Yeah, Brian, I was gonna send it back that way, but I'm just sending it closer to the bank, and it's gonna be a fairly short flight, maybe about halfway between where it is now and the bank. And like I said, you know what, let me go ahead and try it. I'm going to set waypoint 3 pretty much at that same location, but then with an altitude of 0 feet. And I'm not really confident that this is going to work well, and it might actually break this developer XE coming down too quickly, but I think it's a test worth doing. So let's send it, right?
Yeah.
And if we wanted to be kind of safe about this, we would just have it hover above that last waypoint at 40 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet, and then we could manually hit the land button. But ideally, this will essentially land itself if we set the altitude of 0 feet. So let's go ahead and upload mission to drone. Mission upload complete. I'm going to, oops, I accidentally hit use save mission. And what I want to do is I want to download mission. And this way, if we want to either share it with Mohit for debugging, if this doesn't work out well, or we just want to refly this mission, we can fairly easily. All right, I need to delete this waypoint I accidentally created. Hit that minus button. We already have it uploaded, so now we can go back to drones. We should just be able to arm and fly. And let's see how successful we are. All right, so there it is, just awaiting its waypoint mission start command, start waypoint mission. All right, and yep, it's going up to 40 feet. And now it's flying over to the next waypoint. Unfortunately, we also do not have the ability to follow the waypoint mission along within the iVue RC app. So there it is at 40 feet, and it should be coming down to 0 feet. So no, it looks like decreasing altitude maybe not possible. Let me go back to the missions tab. Go back to waypoint 3. Yeah, it is there. I'm going to try uploading this mission again, upload mission to drone. And then I'm going to try just starting the mission again and see what happens. This could have it fly back to waypoint 1 though. Okay, so it's actually climbing another 40 feet. So actually, maybe not. Nope. It definitely climbed in altitude. I wouldn't say 40 feet though. And then, yeah, it's not decreasing altitude as it should by itself. So now if I were to hit land, this is essentially what we want. But that should be part of the mission creation process. All right, we're gonna leave the controller unattended because, you know, that's always what you should do. And we're gonna go see what's in the box. a little bit of a spoiler, nothing too exciting. Not for this. Once we get this all packaged up where we're doing video streaming, as well as flight control over the internet, work out these Waypoint mission functionality bugs, and I guess just not even bugs, but lack of functionality that has not yet been built out. But wow, what a great delivery flight. Let's see what's in the box. Oh my gosh, Develop Air micro props, just what I wanted. So again, just really showing how easy it could be to have your own drone for your household or business, even in this rudimentary sort of developer state. Able to deliver cargo up to a few pounds using this model of Develop Air XE, as long as it can fit within this cargo container. But of course, you can design cargo containers of your own and do much more complex delivery missions than what we just showed is possible here today. But Tharun, unless there's any other aspects that you want to check out today, if you want to do any more flying, I think that's it for this video. So cool. Thanks for watching. You'll catch us in the next one. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Kwanzaa, you know, any and all of those holidays. Not really, just Merry Christmas. All of the other holiday celebrators can go themselves. No, I'm kidding. Love you all. Peace.